My cousin didn't say the word blackmail. He said, "You wouldn't want old stuff floating around online, right?" And he said it like he was talking about the weather. That's how I knew it wasn't a joke. I'm 32. I bought my condo 6 months ago. Not gifted. Not co-signed. Not helped. Bought. It's not huge. 2 bedrooms, corner unit, decent light in the mornings. I spent most of my 20s living with roommates, skipping vacations, driving a car that rattled every time I braked. Also, I could eventually stop paying someone else's mortgage. When I finally signed the paperwork, I didn't post some big celebratory announcement. I sent a picture of the keys to my parents and then to the family group chat. My mom replied with heart emojis. My dad wrote, "Proud of you." My aunt responded with, "Wow, that was fast." And my cousin Ethan wrote, "Must be nice." That phrase again, "must be nice." It's his favorite line when something doesn't go his way. Ethan is 30. We grew up more like brothers than cousins. Same holidays, same summer vacations, same backyard barbecues. But our lives diverged somewhere around college. I went into finance. Nothing glamorous. Just steady, boring, consistent work. Ethan went into entrepreneurship. That's the word my aunt uses. He's tried 3 different business ideas in the last 5 years. A sneaker reselling thing. A crypto consulting service. A dropshipping store that lasted about 8 months. Each time, there was a big announcement. Big confidence. Big talk. Each time, it quietly faded out. My aunt always said, "He just needs the right opportunity." Meanwhile, I was doing the unsexy thing. Saving. Budgeting. Not upgrading apartments when I technically could. So when I bought the condo, I knew there would be comments. I just didn't expect what came next. About a month after I moved in, Ethan texted me privately. "Bro, quick question." Whenever someone starts with "quick question," it's never quick. "What's up?" I replied. "You still planning to live in that condo long term?" "Yes." "Would you ever consider letting me stay there for a bit?" I paused. "For how long?" "Just temporary. Couple months. I'm in between things." That was vague enough to mean 6 months minimum. "What happened?" I asked. "Lease stuff. Complicated." I knew that tone. Complicated usually means unpaid. I typed carefully. "I'm not really looking to rent it out." He responded instantly. "Not rent. I mean like family rate." There it was. Family rate. Which usually means free or almost free. "I just moved in," I said. "I'm not leaving." "You could stay with your parents for a bit," he wrote. "You work remote half the week anyway." I stared at my phone. "You're asking me to move out of my place so you can live there?" I asked. "It wouldn't be forever." I didn't respond for a minute. Then, "I'm not doing that." The typing dots appeared, disappeared, reappeared. Wow. That was it. Just wow. "I just thought family helps family," he added. Family helps family. I'd heard that phrase my entire life. Usually right before someone asked for something unreasonable. "I help family," I replied. "But I'm not giving up my home." "I'm not asking you to give it up," he said. "Just temporarily." That's still no. He didn't answer after that. The next few weeks were quiet. Too quiet. At the next family dinner, my aunt brought it up casually, like she was asking about the weather. "So," she said, sipping wine, "Ethan mentioned he might need a place soon." I kept my tone neutral. "That's tough." She looked at me for a beat too long. It would be such a blessing if someone in the family had space. I knew what she meant. "I don't," I said simply. My dad changed the subject. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. 2 nights later, Ethan called me. Not text. Call. That alone told me he was shifting tactics. "What's going on?" I asked when I answered. "You're really not going to help me?" he said immediately. "I told you. I'm not moving out of my condo. You wouldn't even feel it. It's my home." He sighed dramatically. "You know, when we were kids, I always had your back." I almost laughed. "When?" I asked. "At Christmas that year. Remember when those photos got printed?" My stomach tightened slightly. I knew the photos he meant. Old family album stuff. Embarrassing childhood moments. Nothing criminal. Nothing illegal. Just naked toddler bath photos, awkward puberty pictures, stuff that's funny when it's private. "So," I said. "So I didn't make a big deal about some of those," he continued. "I kept them off social media." My chest went still. "Are you threatening me?" I asked calmly. He scoffed. "No, I'm just saying. You wouldn't want old stuff floating around online." There it was. Delivered casually. Like a business negotiation. I didn't speak for a second. Then I said, If you post anything like that, we're done. Done, he repeated lightly. As in, don't talk to me again. He laughed. You're being dramatic. No, I said. You are. It's just leverage, he replied. Leverage. Not a joke. Not teasing. Leverage. I felt something click into place. This wasn't desperation. This was entitlement. He genuinely believed that because we share blood, my property was negotiable, and that my privacy was a bargaining chip. You're not staying in my condo, I said. You'd rather embarrass yourself online? He shot back. I hung up. For a few minutes, I just sat there staring at the wall. Then my phone buzzed. A text from him. Relax. I'm not going to post anything. Unless you force my hand. Force my hand. He really thought this was chess, and that he was smarter. What he didn't realize was that I don't panic fast. I observe first. And that was the moment I stopped thinking of him as a cousin asking for help, and started seeing him as someone trying to corner me. The next move didn't come from Ethan. It came from my aunt. 3 days after that call, she invited my parents and me over for Sunday dinner. The kind of invite that sounds casual, but isn't. Just family, she said on the phone. We haven't all sat down in a while. I knew exactly what that meant. When I walked in, Ethan was already there, sitting at the table, calm, casual, like nothing had happened. He even smiled at me. Hey, man. I nodded. Hey. No tension on his face. No guilt. Just confidence. That bothered me more than if he'd looked angry. Dinner started normal enough. Small talk. Work updates. My mom asking about renovations in the condo. My aunt making pointed comments about how expensive everything is these days. Then, halfway through the meal, my aunt set her fork down. So, she said, glancing at Ethan, I've been thinking about this housing situation. There it was. My dad shifted in his chair. Ethan didn't look at me. He looked at his plate. I just think, my aunt continued, that sometimes family has opportunities to support each other in meaningful ways. I kept my voice even. What are you asking? I'm not asking, she said quickly. I'm just saying you have space. He needs space. It's a 2-bedroom, I replied. Exactly, she said, like that proved her point. I live there, I said. She smiled in that tight way she does when she thinks someone is being unreasonable. You're one person. And he's one person, I said. Yes, but he's in transition. Transition. That's a generous word for behind on rent. My mom jumped in, trying to soften it. Maybe there's a compromise? Ethan finally looked up. I'm not trying to take anything from you, he said smoothly. Just asking for support. Support. I stared at him. You told me you'd post old photos if I didn't help, I said. The room went still. My aunt blinked. What? Ethan's expression didn't change much, but I saw a flicker. That's not what I said, he replied calmly. Isn't it? I asked. I said you wouldn't want stuff resurfacing, he corrected. There's a difference. My aunt looked at him, confused. What photos? She asked. Just old family stuff, he said quickly. Embarrassing childhood things. We all have them. And you were going to post them? My dad asked, his tone low. Ethan shrugged. If he wanted to act like I was some criminal for asking for help? Maybe. There it is, I said. Leverage. He gave me a look that said I was being dramatic. You're twisting it, he said. I was making a point. A point about what? I asked. That you don't have to be so rigid. Rigid. Because I wouldn't give up my home. My aunt leaned forward. Sweetheart, she said to me. You have to understand Ethan's under pressure. He thought you'd be supportive. I am supportive, I said. Just not like that. Like what? She asked. By giving up my condo. No one is asking you to give it up. Ethan said again, patient tone back in place. Just temporarily. And if I say no? He held my gaze for a second. Then we all move on. That was the lie. Because we both knew he wasn't moving on. After dinner, my dad walked me to my car. You okay? He asked quietly. I'm fine. He hesitated. I don't like how that sounded. Neither do I. You're not obligated, he added. That meant more than he probably realized. The next few days, the group chat got weird. My aunt started posting things like, grateful for family who shows up when it matters. Ethan liked everyone. Then she posted a quote graphic. Generosity isn't about what you have. It's about who you are. I muted the chat. Then came the private texts. First from my aunt. I think this is being blown out of proportion. By who? I asked. You. Talking about blackmail is extreme. I didn't say blackmail, I replied. I said leverage. Same thing, she wrote. Exactly. Then from Ethan, you really told your dad I threatened you? You did. I was joking. You used the word leverage. He didn't respond to that directly. You're acting like I'm trying to ruin your life. You tried to use old photos against me. They're just pictures. And it's just a condo, I replied. There was a long pause before he answered. That's not the same. No, I said. It's not. That night, I went through my phone. Not out of panic. Out of curiosity. Ethan isn't careful when he drinks. Last Christmas, he passed out on the couch with his mouth open, still holding a beer. Someone took pictures. I had one. There were others too. Him asleep on the floor at a 4th of July party. Him slurring into the camera at a birthday dinner. Nothing criminal. Nothing illegal. Just unflattering. The kind of stuff you don't want attached to your name professionally. I didn't do anything with them. Not yet. But for the first time, I understood the language he was speaking. Leverage. A few days later, he sent me one image. A cropped screenshot. Me at age 4, running through a sprinkler in the backyard. Naked toddler. Blurry. Innocent. Caption. Would hate for nostalgia to go viral. My jaw tightened. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I opened my Photos app. I created a folder. And I started adding. I didn't send the collage right away. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Ethan was reacting. I was responding. I let 12 hours pass. Long enough for him to think maybe I was shaken. Maybe I was considering it. Maybe I was softening. Then I replied. If you post anything from when I was a child, I will respond. That was it. No threats. No emotion. He answered almost instantly. Respond how? I didn't explain. I won't go low, I wrote. But I won't sit still either. There was a pause. Then, you're taking this way too seriously. That's what people say when their tactic doesn't work. You tried to corner me, I replied. I'm just making sure you know the corner isn't empty. He didn't text back after that. But he didn't apologize either. The silence stretched for a few days. Then my aunt called my mom. I know because my mom called me afterward. She's very upset, my mom said carefully. About what? She thinks you're escalating. By not giving him my condo. By threatening him back. I almost laughed. I didn't threaten him, I said. I told him I'd respond. That sounds like a threat, she said. He sent me a childhood photo and implied he'd post it. There was a long pause. Maybe he didn't mean it that way. He literally wrote, would hate for nostalgia to go viral. Silence again. I just don't want this to become something, my mom said. It already was something. That weekend was my aunt's backyard barbecue. One of those family gatherings where everyone pretends nothing's wrong while scanning the room for tension. I considered skipping it. Then I decided not to. Avoiding him would look like weakness. When I arrived, Ethan was by the grill, laughing with a couple of cousins like he hadn't tried to use my privacy as currency. He saw me and lifted his chin slightly. No apology. No tension. Just performance. I walked over. Hey, I said. Hey, man, he replied easily. You good? I'm fine. He smiled like we'd had a minor misunderstanding over pizza toppings. For the first hour, everything stayed surface level. Small talk. Sports. Work. Then my aunt gathered everyone near the patio table for cake. And that's when Ethan made his move. So, he said casually, loud enough for a few people to hear. I've been thinking about how some people forget where they come from once they get a little success. Subtle. Calculated. My uncle laughed awkwardly. What's that supposed to mean? Ethan shrugged. Nothing. Just saying. It's easy to act independent when you don't appreciate the village. Village. I met his eyes. You mean the village that's trying to negotiate my mortgage? I asked calmly. The air shifted. My aunt stiffened. That's not fair, she said quickly. Ethan held up his hands. See? This is what I mean. He thinks everything's an attack. You sent me a photo, I said evenly. You implied you'd post it. A few heads turned. What photo? One of our cousins asked. Ethan exhaled sharply, like I was exhausting. It was a joke, he said. He's being dramatic. Was it a joke when you used the word leverage? I asked. His jaw tightened slightly. You're misrepresenting it. No, I said. I'm quoting you. My aunt jumped in. This is not the time. It became the time when he hinted at posting private childhood pictures to pressure me. I said. I kept my voice steady. No yelling. No theatrics. Just facts. A couple of relatives exchanged looks. Ethan's confident smile had thinned now. You're really going to air this out here? He asked quietly. You brought up the village, I replied. There was a beat of silence. Then I added calmly. If anything from my childhood gets posted, I'll respond. That's all. Ethan stared at me. And how exactly would you respond? He asked, trying to sound amused. I took my phone out of my pocket. Not dramatically, just matter of fact. I don't want to, I said. But I will. I didn't show the screen to everyone. I angled it slightly toward him. Just enough. The collage wasn't extreme. It was him asleep, face down on the couch last Christmas. Mouth open, beer still in hand. Him passed out on the patio in July. Him mid-slur in a group video. Unflattering. Not criminal. Professional embarrassment level. His face changed. Not rage. Not fear. Recognition. He understood the language now. Leverage. I lowered the phone. I don't want to do this, I said quietly enough that only the immediate circle heard. But if you try to humiliate me, I won't stay quiet. No yelling. No swearing. Just clarity. For a second, no one spoke. Then my aunt said sharply, "This is ridiculous." "It is," I agreed. "That's why I'd like it to stop." Ethan swallowed. "You're unbelievable," he muttered. "No," I said. "I'm prepared." That landed. Because he hadn't expected preparation. He expected panic. No one clapped. No one cheered. No one declared a winner. That's not how real life works. My aunt looked like I had just insulted her personally. Ethan stepped back from the table like he needed physical distance. "You'd actually post that?" he asked quietly. "No," I said. "Unless you do." That was the difference. He had treated leverage like a weapon. I treated it like a deterrent. My dad cleared his throat. "I think this has gone far enough." It wasn't loud, but it was firm. My aunt shook her head. "This is between you two. Don't drag the whole family into it." I almost said something sharp. Instead, I kept my voice even. He dragged it in when he tried to use family photos as pressure. Ethan looked around the table and realized something important. No one was backing him. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But no one was jumping to defend him either. That's when the narrative shifted. "I was joking," he said again, softer now. "You took it too far." There it was. The retreat. I didn't argue the semantics anymore. "If that's true," I said, "then we're good." He stared at me. "You're seriously going to hold that over my head?" "No," I replied. "I'm just not going to let you hold anything over mine." Silence. A few relatives started talking about something else. Someone cut the cake. The barbecue resumed in that strange, brittle way family gatherings do after tension. On the surface, everything was fine. Underneath, something had cracked. Ethan didn't bring up the condo again. Not that day. Not the next week. He stopped sending passive-aggressive quotes in the group chat. My aunt cooled off too, but not because she agreed with me. Because she didn't want more attention on it. About a week later, Ethan texted me. No hard feelings. I stared at it. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just an attempt to reset without accountability. I typed back. "No hard feelings if it doesn't happen again." He didn't respond. And that was it. The photos never surfaced. The condo stayed mine. But something else changed. At the next holiday dinner, Ethan was polite, distant, measured. We talked about sports, weather, surface things. The easy brother-cousin dynamic we used to have, gone. My aunt still posts those family-first quotes sometimes, but she doesn't tag me in them anymore. My parents don't mention the condo around Ethan. The group chat is quieter, less joking, more neutral. No explosion, no dramatic split, just the subtle cooling. And if I'm honest, that part hurt more than I expected. Because I didn't want a war. I wanted him to stop. And he did. But not because he understood why it was wrong. Because he realized it wouldn't work. That's the part that lingers. The condo wasn't really the issue. It was the belief that my stability was negotiable. That because he'd always been the golden child, the one with the big ideas and loud personality, I'd fold. I didn't. And now he looks at me differently. Not like competition. Not like leverage. Just cautiously. Sometimes I think about that first call. You wouldn't want old stuff floating around online, right? He thought I'd panic. He thought embarrassment was stronger than ownership. He was wrong. What I learned from all this isn't about property. It's about boundaries. Golden children don't like being told no, especially by someone they've quietly assumed would always say yes. I didn't go nuclear. I didn't humiliate him publicly. I just made it clear I wouldn't be cornered. And that was enough to change everything. Not explosively, but permanently.